Good evening and welcome to Legal Tech Live, episode 62. I'm here with Jared Correia. Jared and I have known each other a little bit through legal tech and legal consulting and mostly through online. I've seen his name around multiple times throughout the years, and I know he's in the podcasting and social media and legal consulting, and so we have some similarities in that. And not too long ago, somebody had told me that Jared has a startup called Gideon Legal, or Gideon, which can be found at gideon.legal. And so I reached out and I said, I didn't realize you had a new startup. We talk about startups on this show, legal tech startups specifically. So I wanted to have him on to talk about Gideon Legal. So Jared, I would go and I would read a bio for you if you thought that was necessary, but you've got so many things that you've done in the legal. Let me give with a bio that Gideon Legal gives, and
Make me sound like the Pope, man.
Yeah,
so easy.
Well, it's the way of the world, right? We've all got multiple gigs. How do we sum these things up these days?
Yes.
So Jared is a former practicing attorney and a nationally recognized law firm business management consultant with a focus on technology. He's a speaker and writer on law practice management topics. He's the former lead management consultant for Massachusetts State Supreme Court and a former executive at Leap Software. He's an advocate of data-centric management in legal. And that's a nice summation for a gentleman who is Red Cave Legal, Gideon Legal podcasts. Why don't you expand on that a little bit for us? And I'm going to push us live to Facebook.
Yeah. So the 30,000 foot overview is I do a lot of shit, probably too much. It's crazy. But like once you get into, so my whole deal is like I got into law and I was in law school and I went to the career development office and they were like, what do you want to do? And I was like, well, I think I want to get into law firm consulting. And they're like, that's really stupid. You should get a real job. This was like 2001. Right. So like, then I actually go into legal consultant and my law school hires me 5 years later as a consultant. And I still work for them as a contract consultant to this day. So I thought that was pretty funny.
Did you ever see the counselor who tried to dissuade you from it?
Oh yeah, she's still there. She's like the head of the whole program.
Do you joke with her about how she tried to dissuade you from this, or
no? She hates me.
Oh, she does. Okay.
No, I don't know if she actually hates me, but we haven't talked since then. But like, you know what it's like in legal. I feel like in legal, there's just so many opportunities to do interesting things that I wanted to try different things. So I was a consultant for the state of Massachusetts. Then I started my own consulting company. So I had 2 kids in daycare at the same time, and I was like.
And that's when you decided to start a consulting company?
Yeah, I was like, I need to make some more money.
Right.
So like, I was pushing to make some more money. I started making some more money, which was it's a nice thing because it actually came to fruition running a business. And then like a year and a half ago, I met my partner in the software company, and I just thought he had a great idea. And I get approached by a lot of people, as I'm sure most legal tech folks do who are of any notoriety, about like joining companies or starting companies with other people or taking equity positions in companies. And I try to be very careful about that because unless you're going to like give a ton of effort to it, it's not going to turn into anything.
Sure.
It sounds nice on paper, but you got to actually like move it forward. So this was an idea that I could really get behind. And so now I'm really doing 2 things. I've got the consulting company, which is growing. And then we've got this legal tech company that's in beta right now. And I think we're going to be rolling out of beta around October 15th is the plan. But we've got about 50 law firms, 500 users in the beta. So it's been a pretty extensive beta. And we've been running it for about
beta. Yeah.
Yeah. So we found that like we did like very limited marketing on that. And I just reached out to some people I knew. We did some brand awareness stuff, and we found that there was like a lot of interest in this product. And we got more people in the beta than we thought we would. So a couple of times we were like, okay, we have to stop. We have to wait. We have to develop this a little bit more, and then we can bring more people in. So we're hoping that once we take the top off, it'll be very successful very quickly. But we'll see how it goes.
Excellent. So in that vein, and for those who are watching, Aaron Levine is here and Carol Williams are here watching. So if you guys have any questions for Jared Correia, please
hit me up.
Yeah, let us know. And thank you for viewing. So in that vein, tell us what. So I'm looking at the Gideon software website right now.
It's so beautiful. Brings a tear to my eye.
It's nice. It's smooth. But at the same time, I'm a little lost in what do they do, because there are several options here. There's a virtual legal assistant. There's predictive legal analytics and marketing and performance metrics. And this is the perfect time for you to be on the show, because we really like early stage. So pre-beta, that is certainly something that we're interested in. But
yeah.
These are really great buzzwords, but what is it all about?
Yeah, I'll tell you basically what it is. So essentially what we're doing is a no-code chatbot builder for law firms.
All right.
So the idea is that law firms can build their own chatbots or use the templates that we create to push out chatbots to their website. And the idea is that you'll be able to create, like at this point, a hard-coded chatbot, so you can get some engagement with your clients and then theoretically turn over more conversions using the chatbot. And we've seen that in the field, like in the wild, the firms we've been working with are getting 2 times the conversions on the same ad spend. So that's been really good to see. The other thing we do technically is we do labels and classifiers within our system. Okay. So firms are able to create their own labels for specific questions that get answered, and then we classify clients based on that. So what we essentially do is build this logical Q&A for people to follow. Mm-hmm. And so, for example, if you're an estate planning attorney, right, at a very basic level, and you were looking for 3 components out of your client. So let's say they had to live in a certain state, they had to have a certain annual income amount that they made, and they had to own their own home. You could ask those questions within our system, and you could create labels for own home, Massachusetts, $100,000 plus annual income. And then we'd label that client as like A+ estate planning client. And then you'd either get a notification or they'd be able to schedule an appointment directly through the bot. Okay. So the idea is somebody lands on a website, it's actual engagement, it's not a contact form. And then at the same time, we're classifying the client so you don't have to deal with as many tire kickers. And the way we've set it up is it's very flexible and easy to use. So that's an extremely basic example of how we classify. But down the line, like if a law firm really wants to get heavy duty into this, they could have like 78 labels for a classifier. So it's very flexible. Okay. And moving forward, what we're going to do is plug into the data components of a lot of the case management systems. Mm-hmm. And we talk about predictive analytics on the website, because what we ultimately want to do is say, let's take these factors of a new client or a new lead and figure out what the value of the case is to this law firm right at intake. So let's figure out what the projected revenue is going to be, what the projected expenses are, what the timekeeper situation is going to look like, how much time is for partners, how much time is for associates, paralegals, and then let's try to predict the length of the case as well. So we're going to do all that through the system. And when we can do that, we can generate a lead score as well, which can serve as the backbone for legal referral services as well. So now this is not all happening right now, I should say. Okay. We're going from stage to stage in development. So step 1 is building out the chatbot and classifications, which we've already done. Step 2 is building the predictive analytics. And then step 3 is building the lead scoring on top of that. But that's like the roadmap for us. And I'm hoping like the next 3 to 5 years.
Excellent. So it's an onboarding, it's chatbot onboarding and intake, and some kind of not low level, because lead scoring is incredibly important, but sort of minimal CRM for converting.
So I kind of refer to it as like a light CRM. Okay. We've got some CRM features, but the idea is that the chatbot's the front end of the service, and then the classification is all done through the chatbot. And the reason, like, we could have done a number of different things, but the reason we chose a chatbot is because that's where all these consumer engagements are leading. Like, if you look at the statistics, like more and more millennials are using chatbots. And I think I saw a statistic the other day that said like 25% of consumer engagements are going to be via chatbot in 2 years, which is such a significant percentage. But then we're also going to tie in and integrate with all these other services as well. So you can use this with a virtual assistant. You can use this with any other kind of marketing channels. You've got social media included. So we want to make it very flexible.
And how about integrations with, you come from the law practice management consulting background. Yes. So I'm assuming there is a plan to integrate with some of our friends at Clio and CaseFear and Practice Panther and things like that.
I got all my people lined up, of course. Our people, I should say. So yeah, the first integrations we've set up are Clio, Outlook, and Google Calendar and Mail.
Which makes sense. So many people are using those, so you want to.
Well, so we're going with the most usership first, obviously.
Sure. Right.
Because, you've got development dollars that you have to deploy in an intelligent way, and that's how we're trying to do it. But yeah, so the Clio integration's rolling right now. That's all set. And then we'll probably move down the line to some of the other bigger providers. Like we want to work with Leap Case Management and Smokeball. We want to work with Practice Panther in that group. I think they've got like 3 different case management systems they're using now that's grouped under Alpine Investments. And so those are our first 3. And then we'll go down the line from there.
Okay.
But yeah, the idea of like plugging into these case management systems, pushing labels into these case management systems, or using some of their own tagging to create our tags is really helpful. Mm-hmm. It helps with the push of information to the new system. And if we can pull data from the case management systems and use the data that we're collecting as well, then we can make more accurate predictions.
Okay, excellent. So I have to take a question. This one comes from Erin Levine.
Okay.
And she says, is the chatbot feature available now?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
So you can use it. And Aaron, if you want, come on in. We're still in beta. We can give it to you for free for a little while. So yeah, the chat. So what's live now? I should make this clear because I've kind of laid out the roadmap a little bit. Chatbot's available now. Launched to a website. Classifications are available right now. Routing to calendars and automatic appointment scheduling is available right now, as well as notifications. That's what we've got going on right now.
Excellent. Okay.
And I should also say the integrations: Clio, Google, and Outlook.
Okay. And the Apple or Mac-based integrations is another project altogether.
Yeah, we'll be doing that at some point down the line. We haven't done it quite yet.
Right.
My hope is that with the Google email application and calendar application, and with the Microsoft email and calendar application, with more and more people using Office 365, that covers like a large swath of the attorney populace.
Yeah, it does.
So yeah, like I said, we're trying to make the right choices starting out. And it's funny, whenever you launch a product and you talk to people, they're like, you have one conversation and everybody's like, you know what? It would be awesome if it did these 8 other things.
Sure.
And I'm like, yes, I know all those 8 other things. I'm also planning these 16 other things.
Right. Yeah. I go into this pretty regularly on the show with other folks, I'm like, hey, did you think about this? When I say those things, I realize you've thought about something similar, or maybe you haven't, but you also have to it's a great idea, but we're trying to focus. So
no, it's funny. And whenever people tell me that, I always say, and how much will you be investing?
Right.
And they say, oh, okay.
Pay $20 a month.
They're like, we'll take it slow then. That's okay.
I mean, that's what it often comes down to. Tell me a little bit more about the predictive analytics. Now, it sounds really right. It sounds really fancy. It's certainly part of it. Tell us what it actually does for
So, full disclosure, I am not a data scientist. Sure. I hate math. I went to law school because I was told there would be no math, frankly.
Right. You had to do a damages calculation.
Yeah, that's right.
That was the most frustrating when I was clerking. I thought, wait, why am I doing damages?
Oh, I know, it's terrible. I'm like, wait, I was told I would never have to do this. But for us, we're trying to simplify it as much as possible. So there's some issues with data, right? Mm-hmm. So first of all, I'll step back and say that I'm an advocate of data management in law firms. I've been talking about this for years. So I remember I gave a keynote presentation at a bar association. I want to say 7 years ago. And I was talking about data analytics, and people started walking out of the room. 15 people got up and left. And then I was like, who wants to talk about the paperless office? And they all came back. So that's law in a nutshell for me. So the one problem is that there's not a lot of clean data sets out there, right? So it's not like tomorrow we're going to be like, oh, we've got all this really nicely structured data that's already set up for us to make predictions and do lead scoring. It's not going to happen. So we decided that we would try to pick the data that's probably the most structured out of all the data. And if you look at the way lawyers track information, one of the things that they're really interested in is how much money they can make. So we wanted to look at billing data.
Which is fair, right?
Yeah. This was the thought process behind what we're doing.
Yeah. You got a lot of student loans to cover. You got, overhead to cover and bills to pay. It's
Hell yes. And if you have kids, it's even worse. So, as we were looking at it, we said, all right, these are the categories we think we can hit. We can get the amount of money that attorneys have made on revenue. Attorneys are also probably tracking at least most of their expenses. And we also know what type of case we're dealing with and how long the case goes for.
Okay.
And we also have timekeeper information, because any law firm worth its salt is going to be giving like subscriptions to each timekeeper on the case management system. So we know how much work an associate's doing. We know how much work a partner's doing, so on and so forth. So giving that limited data set, what we'll be able to predict, I think, is revenue, expenses, length of time, and timekeeper information for each specific case. Now, there's a larger universe than that we can arrive at. Like, I think about this moving forward, and I think to myself, like, we could have a personal injury practice where someone will upload a photo of an accident, and we'll be able to compare 7,000 other accident photos from our database, and we'll be able to use photo analysis to figure out what the revenue or the expected conversion is on a case like that. We're not going to get there right away, but we can do a lot of cool things like that. So we said to ourselves, like, where's the starting point so we don't get lost in this? And that's been the starting point for us. So if we can predict those things and be pretty accurate about it, our predictions will get better over time, and then we'll be able to include more data into it. But part of what we're trying to do is like structure that data as well. And we've been talking to a lot of folks about this.
Is a lot of that data that you're using to structure and predict, is a lot of that coming in through the chatbot so that you're getting fairly the best data you can get?
Yeah, so we're pulling the data in through the chatbot. So we've got labels and tags that we're using. Some of those are consistent throughout the system, and then some of those are created by attorneys. But we'll be able to look at all that structured data, tags, classifications, which are groups of tags, and then we'll have a much better idea of like what the client intake looks like. And then we can also tie it to the information from the case management systems to figure out how that looks through the whole client lifecycle, which is how we're able to make predictions. Moving forward, I really want to do some things with this that get into deeper analytics, but for right now we're starting small. And to do that deeper work, like frankly, we're going to have to hire data scientists, and we've got some people that we've talked to about that already, but that's a later stage consideration for us. Like we have to get VC funding, I think, to get there, and that's going to be like the next step for us.
Excellent. And VC funding is the next step for you?
Yeah. So I think once we come out of beta, we should be able to turn over enough monthly revenue to capture the attention of VCs. I'm fairly confident of that. But right now we're still raising through angels, which has been good. Like
that's awesome.
We've got a lot of legal tech executives who are interested and who've invested, and also some users of the software too, which is really cool to get that validation.
That is great. That is great. And Erin asks, she would love to try. She says she'd love to try this. When I'm looking this way, I'm not ignoring you. This is
oh, sure you are.
Screen. Like, well, it was good. It was good finally meeting you.
Nick is like, thanks. See you later.
She'd like to try this for Hello Divorce. So, and then she asks, let's see. Is there a way to hop on and live chat? Are you asking about hopping on and live chatting on the show right now, Erin? Or are you asking for a live chat with the chat bot?
I hope it's both.
Yeah. And if you're really serious about coming in, oh yeah, she says, and she, classy as she always is, but I'm wondering about his chat bots, not live chat here.
But she still wants to live chat with you, I'm sure. Yeah, don't take it too personally.
So can she and she added the dummy, which is our friendship. That's how we together. So
I feel like Erin is almost a plant, because that's a great question. So like, here's the deal with the live chat. So because we can classify leads and score leads in the future, it makes the live chat component really unique, because what we are going to do is set it up so that you're not just live chatting with everybody on the site, right? Because the problem with live chat is it gets really expensive, because you got to have a person like manning that.
Yeah, it's labor intensive.
And it starts right from the top. Like somebody says hello, and then the live chat rep is engaged. So what we want to do is set up, so we've got all these classifications that we can set up. So we want somebody to go through a chat first that's hardwired, answer some questions, make sure they're qualified. And then this is not out yet, but this will be out like in the next 3 months, I would say. We'll get a notification out to whoever the person is who's set up within the firm or within the company to get that notification when a client has been classified. Mm-hmm. And then you'll have the option to get in on a live chat. So you get an email, for example, that says you've got a hot lead on the line. Obviously, the language will be better than that, but just for purposes of illustration, you've
Sure.
got a hot lead on the line. You can jump in on this call and try to convert this client. So it'll be hybrid live chat is what we're calling it.
Okay.
And the reason it'll be less intensive and more cost effective is because people will be qualified in the first instance. And that also means that you can use your own staff to do this. So you don't necessarily have to have a 24/7 live rep available. Your secretary, your admin person, some attorneys at your firm will be able to jump in only on the chats that they want to. And if they don't come in and engage the live chat, the chat will continue to be automated.
That's it, because sometimes things are going on in the office. It's impossible for you to jump on. So you don't want to lose the opportunity to follow up with that client.
Exactly. So you'll have the option to get in on a live engagement, or you can float that down to your staff. So that's something that we are building out in the near term.
So there you have it, Aaron. Hybrid live chat.
I don't know if I invented that, but that's what we're going with.
But it may
probably not. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there at some point where I noticed that a little human interaction might convert this where the chatbot isn't, and I'd like to dive in now and make that happen? Or am I too busy? I can't get to it, but I want to be able to follow up with this person. It makes great sense.
Yeah, and you can make the call. That's the advantage, I think, that we provide. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
The beauty of one of the things you talk about, which I don't think gets talked about enough with onboarding, or like you mentioned, a Light CRM, the lead score thing is lead scoring. For those who are unaware and don't do maybe email marketing campaigns all that often, lead scoring is hugely powerful. I'm assuming you've had the experience with your CRM where you set a certain score when they've opened up enough emails, they've visited the website enough, they've checked enough of these, high value links on the site. This person's a really hot lead. And the conversion that takes place with lead scoring it's very powerful. Like, wow, they hit whatever scoring you've set up. They've hit 60. We know that this person is hot. Somebody's going to call and close them. Yeah. And I'm not sure, you've probably dealt with this more in law firms. I'm not sure how often law firms are using it.
Never. Which is why we want to build it out. Yeah, I think we'd be like the first company that's really focused on doing something like this, as far as I know. If there's somebody out there who's doing it, I apologize. But I think we're going to be one of the first, at least.
Yeah.
And then the thing that really, does
the lead scoring begin from chatbot interaction once we've got some initial information on the client? When does lead scoring begin?
So we haven't built it out yet. So okay. I can't say as to when, but I am in love with the concept of lead scoring. Like, this is maybe the most exciting thing about the product for me, because I love simple metrics like that.
It's simple. Yeah. It's so simple.
So I think what'll happen is the lead scoring will take place once the client hits the classification point. So once they're classified under a certain group of tags, at that point, we'll apply the lead scoring.
Right.
And the thing that excites me about it too, like, I thought you gave a fantastic recap of what lead scoring is, because I don't think a lot of attorneys know what it is. But like, the thing that I think is really cool is the power of adding that to a legal referral system, right? So all these lawyer referrals take place on a very ad hoc basis. But if we could apply our data to one firm versus another firm and say, hey, firm in like central Iowa, this case is a 41 for you, but it's a 98 for this firm in southern Iowa. Do you want to make the referral? We could do that through the network. And It's not like you're making a blind referral. You've got the data to back up why that's valuable to one firm, or more valuable to one firm than the other. And then once you do that, you can put like a matching fee on that, like a lot of these lead generation services do. And that's potentially lucrative enough to fund continued work on the development of a lead scoring tool. So over time, I think it can get extremely refined.
That's fantastic. And I this is 62 episodes. And I can't think of one other one that we've actually discussed lead scoring. I mean,
cool.
that's simple marketing. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of low hanging fruit, if you will, in marketing. Every Marketo, HubSpot, whatever you're using, they have a lead score for Salesforce. You can create this lead score. And it's interesting to hear that lawyers have not jumped on that.
Yeah, I think this will really help a lot of law firms. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so big into this. So maybe I shouldn't have said anything, though, if nobody else is doing it. But that's all right. Cat's out of the bag now.
Yeah, no, others may do it. I've talked with other onboarding
Yeah.
software, and some of them are, trying to the ease of use. My experience has been trying to make it easier to onboard, which is it's very noble.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so important. Making it smooth is great, but lead scoring, the power of it is incredible. I mean, we have it in my day job where, this person hit a 60 or something, better call them. Oh, boom, call them, close, and it's that quick. And the calls are, rather than a 45-minute call, you're now in a 10 or 15-minute call. Why?
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
Because they were primed.
Well, I also love the idea of simplicity in legal, because so much of legal is like overwrought, and everybody's taking 10 steps to do what should take 2 steps. So I like the fact that we've got simple notification. You come in for a live chat. We're going to build that out. I like the fact that we can deliver like one lead score, which should qualify and be really impactful for an attorney, and they can make better, faster decisions. So that's why I really like it.
Right. Now, like, if you've got 15 leads for the week that came in, and 4 of them are, lead score is pretty low. Okay, well, now you know which ones you want to call back first.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, eventually we'll be able to do like click to call and that kind of stuff too. So the idea is like, once you can score a lead and have like an easy window into whether or not you should make that call back or put some effort into this, then we can start adding new channels, and that's what we'll do as well.
That's nice. So we often don't always do it, but we often do it. I don't know if there's anything that you can demo. We've got AJ Richmond watching. Looks like Daniel Ferris was watching. Aaron Levine is still here. Is there anything that you can demo for us tonight, or that you're capable of showing, or is it all proprietary at the time?
It's not proprietary. I'd be happy to do a demo, but I have to go into my password, log in, figure that out. So it may take me a couple minutes to do it. I'm not sure people want to wait for that, but I'm happy. I'm happy to do a demo. Like if you go to our website, we have a schedule a demo page, and we're willing to show the whole thing. Like it's not vaporware, I promise.
Right. And I'll post. I will post a link to.
Oh, thank you, sir.
In the chat for anybody who wants to go and schedule a demo. It's at Gideon.legal, which is a great, talk about picking up an excellent URL or domain name.
Right? Gideon was not my idea, full disclosure, but I came up with the trumpet logo, so I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, Gideon maybe is not, but when with the .legal, it's just so nice these days. Then you're not spending the extra ridiculous sum on a .com, But
it's funny you should say that, because we get a lot of lawyers who will contact us, and they'll be like, .legal, what is that? And we're like, it's the website. And they're like, what? There's no .com? I'm like, no. So then I find myself explaining like these primary domain names.
Yeah.
So that's always fun.
That is amazing, and
we're getting there.
We've got another question, and Erin is not a plant today, which is but
as far as you know.
As far as I know, if this is her doing me a solid, it'll be the first time in our friendship. She loves lead scoring. Will you consider? And here we go. Here's something else to put on the list. Is what it sounds like. Will you consider also providing estimated revenue from a potential client?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's part of what we're planning to do. So we're planning to provide at the beginning, or like right after a client is classified, estimated revenue, estimated expenses, estimated time spent by each timekeeper, and estimated length of case. That's what we're trying to do.
And that will get better the more data you get from more attorneys.
Exactly.
More chats.
And we're like not screwing around here. We're not like hiring Uncle Joe in a shed to figure out the data analytics for us. Like we've got data scientists lined up who are going to be working on this for us. So I'm really looking forward to rolling that out. It should be fairly accurate, I think. And then once we clean up these data sets, that's going to be the key.
Yeah. That'll always it always comes down to if you're getting the right data in, right?
Oh, exactly. So, it's funny the way the world works and the direction the technology heads in. But the way I view us is, yes, we're a marketing company in the sense that we're like a chatbot provider, but we're also going to be a data company as well, because we're going to capture this data and then we're going to render it so that it's actually useful to attorneys, which very irregularly happens in legal tech.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, what is the main report everybody swears by these days, right? It's the Clio Trends report.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know, that's
And I feel like that's just no disrespect to Clio, because I think it's great that they're doing that.
yeah,
But I think that's like just the tip of the iceberg.
that's right.
And I think the way that we want to do this, it's like almost live real time analytics rather than pulling information from the past year. Like
Sure.
we want to deliver to this information to the clients in real time as they need it.
Okay, that's great. That's great. So tell us, we oftentimes we get into the funding discussion here. And
We can talk funding.
we touch on it, touched on it a little bit. We had a guest on last week who was second. He is the managing director for a massive angel list syndicate, one of the very successful ones.
Mm-hmm.
They've invested in a couple of legal tech companies. And he gave us a lot of great information. You've been in this game a long time. So how have you guys gone about funding?
Fundraising is not fun, I can tell you that, but essential. And I've even talked to people who have had like very, very successful companies, like approaching like $1 billion exits. And they're like, yes, it sucks. But like, I will say that you get to meet a lot of interesting people and have a lot of interesting discussions.
I believe
you just have to have a lot of conversations. So for me,
and receive a lot of no's.
Well, it's funny though, because people don't really say no. I was talking with Mark Britton, formerly of Avo, about this the other day, and he's funny. He's got a good way to describe this. He's like, investors give like great meeting. He's like, they'll have a meeting with you. They're like, oh, you're amazing. And then you'll never hear from them. No one ever says no. They just ghost you. It's like really difficult. So you're like waiting. You're like, hey, maybe we should put together a financial model for this person and send it over. And then you do that. You hear nothing. But like the hit rate is not high. But the fact is, you got to try to get to as many people as possible, because until you get to that like VC level where people are really able to write bigger checks for you, you're relying on like 10,000 here, 25,000 here, 50,000 here, which is okay. But it's kind of really hit or miss. So we have some meetings with some people where we think they go great and we never hear from them again. We have some meetings with some people where we think it's gone terribly and they're like, where can I send the check? And then sometimes I'll talk with somebody for 10 minutes and they'll be like, how much money do you need? And then we have money in our hands like the next couple of days. So it's just like hitting people at the right time. Right. I think staying aggressive, following up with people, especially in this stage when you're like pre-VC, it's got to be like friends and family, and then like people in the same industry as you, or in some cases, users of the product. So if somebody is into the product, they love it, and they're willing to vouch for you and they're willing to send referrals in, like that's somebody that could write a small check for you. And when you're starting out, like you really need those small checks to push things forward. Right. Because developing software is not cheap.
Not cheap.
But once you get it developed, like it can be really nice.
Are you guys developing here in the U.S. or do you have a team in India?
Yep, U.S. only. America, my friend. So we've actually got
which makes it more expensive. There's no way around it.
It's more expensive, but like I will say that like the quality of work is really good. There are fewer communication barriers, which is helpful. So we get things done faster. And it's also helpful from a time zone standpoint, right? Like if we're all like no less than 3 hours apart, it's easier to make things happen. So we've got an interim CTO right now who's working out of Oregon. And then we've got a team of 3 or 4 people in New York where the company's headquartered who are helping us out. So we've got like a 5-person development team at this point, and they just do a crackerjack job. They're awesome. That's like great. The interface is great. The product is really smooth. And we do pay higher rates for those guys, but it's worthwhile, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So where has the funding come from? Have you had success pulling from other legal tech entrepreneurs or lawyers at all? Have they gotten?
Yeah. So I don't like to like give out names because I haven't like asked anybody if I could do that. But yes, we have had legal tech executives invest. We've had lawyers who are interested in legal technology invest. And then we've had some random other sources as well. Okay. But the VC firm, we've also talked to like really massive VC firms. And so from what they tell us, and if this is helpful to other entrepreneurs out there, I'm happy to relay this information. They're basically like, look, if you guys can get to 10K MRR and then show that you have like relatively little churn, then we're in for a big check, is essentially what people have told us. Now, who knows if that's true or not? Right. But I've heard that from enough people to think that like that's the standard. And a big check is not like 250 million, like what Clio just got.
Right,
But a
right.
big check is maybe $1 million, which goes a long way for
Goes a
a
long way.
company like ours. So for us, like I'd like to get to like 1,000 users as quickly as possible. That's what 1,000 law firm users, not including individual users. And I think that'll get us on a nice path to further growth. But that's the market share I want to start with. So that's goal number one. And then we move on from there.
And $1 million goes a long way if you get $10,000 in MRR. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And if it's going up and to the right, so if each month you're adding a little bit more onto that MRR, then your burn is slower.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and then you've also got like, we also want to be able to focus on like getting more marketing dollars out there, getting a customer success team in place, because it's impossible to do that with just 2 people when you've got a user base of any size. And then I have to pay for my haircuts. And then there's a whole laundry list of things to do. So.
Well, my friend, I do my own haircuts. So,
nice.
So I don't have that problem.
Yeah, but you're right. If somebody handed me like $1 million check tomorrow, I got that lined up. I know exactly what I'm going to do with it.
Right. Yeah.
But I will say it's a difficult balance to choose between, like, because as we were talking about before, like everybody you talk to is like, oh, this would be a really great feature. Have you thought of that? Yes, I have.
So where do we deploy the next 500,000 or 200,000 or $1 million? Yeah,
exactly. So we talk about that a lot. Like, what do we need to do for development? What do we need to do for marketing? Because converting legal clients in particular, and when I say legal clients, I mean lawyers, it's expensive. Like I heard a stat the other day that like the average conversion of a law firm to a piece of software costs $1,400. Which is not inexpensive at all. And I think that number can be higher or lower depending on the company you're talking about. But I know it's high, and I know the sales cycle is long.
So wait a second. Back. That's not a number I've heard before. Is this a customer acquisition cost of a single lawyer?
Law firm, single law firm.
Single law firm, $1,400
on average. Yeah,
on average.
It's a lot. It's a lot of money. Like
that's a lot of money.
I don't think other industries are hitting that number. I think lawyers are just savvier. They ask more questions. They've also got all these ethics concerns, so that's part of it too. They want to get past all that. So
that is an expensive customer acquisition cost. You'll hear it when you hear in other SaaS products. Get down to $5 CAC or $4 CAC, and you're thinking, okay, I get why that's scalable.
I know. That would be great.
Yeah, I see why that's scalable. And now, you hear about somebody doing 20,000 a month or 100,000 a month in MRR. Okay.
And it's not that you can't scale legal. Obviously, it's been proven that you can scale legal. It just costs more and takes longer. You're always weighing this balance of like, do I throw money at this problem or do I throw time at this problem?
Right.
Because we could take the avenue of like, we'll develop like a kick-ass legal tech product, and then we'll just wait for the audience to come to us, or we'll just throw marketing at it and take the dev a little bit slower. So that's you're always weighing those options.
Yeah, always weighing those. And I tell people when they're asking, what do you listen to for marketing and podcasts and things like that, and I try and remind people where I'm learning my marketing. I take a little from a lot of places. But when you hear people spending $1 million on Facebook ads or 100,000 Facebook ads, I say e-commerce is not the same as selling a legal tech product.
That's very true. Very true.
So when you hear somebody's doing that, that's because they've got a $20 product to sell, dozens of times or something like that.
Totally. Like I still think you need boots on the ground in legal too, right? I think you still need to be meeting attorneys and going to events and speaking at events. Like I think that's really important too. If you look at all the successful companies that have scaled up, that's one of the things they've done. And I think there's less reliance on that in other industries.
Yeah.
And that costs money too. So.
But a lot of marketing targets that, like they'll talk big numbers, and a lot of that is e-commerce specific. And
absolutely, yes.
Not confuse the two. Tom Martin's here watching. Thanks, Tom, for joining. If you have any questions for Jared, please ask them away. And we touched on VC, we touched on the ideas, but we haven't talked pricing. So what's the price going to be for law firms?
So at this moment, we're working off of a pricing model that we're going to change. So this question is like up in the air right now, but I think we're very close to finalizing a pricing model.
Okay.
During the beta, we were working off of a pre-order campaign that looked like $50 for the first user of the software, and then $25 for each additional user. I think,
and that's a monthly charge.
monthly traditional subscription cost.
Okay.
I think what we're probably going to do when we come out of beta is tweak that a little bit and have like a simpler pricing structure where it's going to be like a baseline price for a solo attorney and then a baseline price for teams.
Right.
And then we will add a subscription cost to that for each new user, essentially is probably how we'll do it. And then if the firm's big enough, we'll probably have an enterprise model that we'll talk to them about what they need and then kind of price it out after we have a conversation. But I think that's the direction we're leaning in.
Yeah, there seems to be pushback sometimes from what I understand. I've sold expert services to law firms, but I haven't sold SaaS services to law firms. But sometimes I hear pushback on the user, per user kind of thing. So who knows though?
Some people are okay with it. Some people aren't. I think the challenge with lawyers and tech is that lawyers have traditionally said, let me get the cheapest technology available. And that's what led to lawyers having premise-based software that they just stick into forever. And then they're like, why isn't my software working? Well, it's 10 years old and you haven't updated it in 10 years. Yeah. And I think it's the same thing with the user model. A lot of law firms might want to get by with one account that 8 people share, but obviously that's not the most effective way to use the software. So you got to try to find this balance of letting people choose and also not letting them hurt themselves. Right. Because if you let them get into a situation where they've got one account for 20 users, well, of course the product's going to suck because nobody's going to be able, they're all trying to access one account. So we're trying to draw the balance of that. Yeah. And I think maybe the way to do it is to do the solo and teams model. Yeah. So the pricing will be finalized when we launch, but I think that's the direction we're leaning in right now.
Okay, very cool.
But we're gonna try to make it as cheap as possible. I want there to be a $50 a month buy-in for solo attorneys at the low level, and I think that's worthwhile with a software like this because if you convert one lead, right, who knows how much that's worth to you? That might be worth $8,000. It might be worth $800,000. So there's significant value
if
there.
You're paying $600 a year. That's pretty good.
Yeah, if you're a PI firm that's paying if you're a solo PI attorney who's paying $600 a year. And the software nets you $80K for that year, that's a no-brainer. And that's kind of where we want to be.
I would even say this. You're paying, not that I want to downplay anything that you're doing, but I would go as low as if you're spending $600 a year and you get a $8,000 or $10,000 case out of it. Certainly, we want it to be better than that because you want to.
Yeah.
The return, there is a return there.
Oh, absolutely. It's still pretty good. And I think the advantage is that most attorneys who focus on marketing at any level kind of understand that. The more volume you create, the more chances you have.
Right.
I know you're from California. I'm from Boston. So, the way the New England Patriots draft, for example, they get 1 million draft picks and they're not better at drafting than anybody else. They just have more opportunities to not suck. And I kind of think that's the way it is with law firms, right? You get more leads, you have the chance to convert. Well, I mean, if you're a PI attorney, you get one more traumatic brain injury case, you're doing all right.
Right. That's right. But you want to, if you're getting $5,000 case a month, now you're really seeing it. Plus, you're getting some predictive analytics and some lead scoring and things like that with it. It becomes, the value increases.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's great. So we were about 45 minutes in. Erin had to go pick up her children, so she said, "Great." She texted me, "Great interview tonight." She really appreciated.
Oh, you're the man, Nick. I already knew that though. You need an Andy Richter though. That's what I want to see next time.
Yeah, well,
when you get big, invite me back.
Yeah, that's what Ivan and I used to do. We used to do the and I'd make fun of him for being late in the show or something like that.
Oh man, sorry I missed that. But no, this is great. I really appreciate you having me on. You're a great interview, very laid back. So thank you.
We legal has enough boring interviews that I'd rather not do that. Let's get away from the stuffiness of legal.
Yes. Neither of us are wearing ties, believe it or not. But this is true. This is true.
I have not worn pants, legitimate suit type pants to work in almost 10 years. So
I have not worn pants period in almost a week.
That's working for home.
I'm wearing shorts right now. I'm good.
Yeah, that's right. It looks like Fernie Gomez jumped in. Sorry, Fernie, I didn't see your comment earlier. If you had a question, now is the time to ask it. But Jared, if Fernie is asking a question while he's doing that, if you could just tell us where to find you.
Yes. So I'm pretty easy to find. If you can spell my last name, which is not the easiest last name in the world to spell, it's Correia. So I'm active on Twitter at Jared Correia. I got a couple websites, redcavelegal.com, redcavelegal.com, which is my consulting business. And then the software company webpage is, as Nick mentioned, Gideon.legal. So Gideon.legal. And if you want a demo, just schedule one with us and we'd be happy to walk you through the products. So those are probably the three best places.
Excellent.
Don't call my home phone, please.
Certainly not at this time of night.
No, it's too late.
Yeah.
Don't wake up my kids.
And I thank you for taking the time. It was great finally.
Oh, my pleasure. Yes.
Yeah, face to face, at least digitally, because I have seen the name around the Twitter sphere and other areas for quite some time. Don't disappear when we stop recording. I'll have a couple of comments, few post-production comments, but
sure.
I thank you again, our guest tonight. Thank you to all those watching live. If you have any questions, you heard how to get in touch with Jared Correia. He is my guest tonight. He is the COO and co-founder as well of Gideon Legal. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
COO and co-founder of Gideon Legal. You can also find him at redcavelegal.com and on Twitter and LinkedIn as well. Our episode tonight is episode 62. Stay tuned. Next week, we'll have episode 63. And also, you can catch us on LegalTechLIVE.com. The replays will be made available there. Thanks once again, Jared, and I'll look forward to talking with you in the future.